This truly resonant case occurred in West Germany. Marianne Bachmeier was born on June 3, 1950, in a small town called Sarstedt in the federal state of West Germany. Marianne's parents ended up there immediately after World War II due to the persecution her father, a former SS officer and member of the National Socialist Party of Germany, faced. Marianne was raised in a conservative family with a religious inclination. It is said that, because of this, she simply did not have a happy childhood. Her father was authoritarian, cruel, and heavily alcoholic. He spent more time at a bar near their home than with his family. Marianne's mother also showed neither emotion nor care toward her daughter. They rarely communicated and hardly spent time together. It seemed she was not interested in what her daughter was doing. Over time, the father's alcohol addiction made him even more aggressive towards the family. Because of this, her mother decided to divorce him. It would be wrong to say that Marianne was saddened by this event. On the contrary, she finally thought she might be free and happy. However, her mother soon remarried a man who turned out to be as cruel as her biological father. This led to frequent conflicts between her and her stepfather, whom she called a dictator. Unfortunately, instead of siding with her daughter, the young girl's mother always supported her husband. During one such conflict, Marianne was thrown out of the house. On the streets, she often faced assaults by various men. As a result of one of these incidents, she became pregnant. In 1966, at the age of 16, she gave birth to her first child. Due to a lack of stable housing and income, Meyer was forced to give her child up for adoption. 2 years later, she became pregnant again by her then-boyfriend. Despite their unhealthy relationship, Marianne insisted on keeping the child. However, soon after the baby was born, she was assaulted by an unknown man, which triggered a series of psychological problems for her. Her boyfriend left her, abandoning her and the baby without any means of support. This forced her to give up the second child for adoption as well. Sometime later, Meyer dropped out of school and started looking for a job to support herself. Around this time, she met a man named Christian Holt, a bar manager where she had begun working. Soon after meeting, they started dating. A few months later, Marianne became pregnant with her third child. This time, she was determined to raise the baby since she now had a steady income. Christian, however, disagreed with her decision, and their relationship ended. Nonetheless, she remained steadfast in her decision to have the baby. On November 14, 1972, she gave birth to her third child, a girl named Anna. Marianne's mother demanded she give this child up for adoption as well, but she refused. Moreover, she could not bear the guilt of abandoning her third child. Meyer promised herself to be a good mother. She underwent a procedure to render herself infertile, which was reportedly a common practice at the time. From that point, Marianne and her young daughter settled in the town of Lübeck. Despite the various challenges Marianne faced, she felt happy. Anna was the only person in her life who neither wished her harm nor caused her pain. However, raising her daughter alone meant that Marianne had to bring Anna with her to the bar where she worked. Because of this, she could only attend to her child during rare breaks from work. As the years passed, Anna grew up. Marianne's acquaintances noted that she treated her daughter as an adult despite her young age, expecting independence and responsibility from her. In turn, Anna was an unusually sociable and creative child, often left to her own devices, especially when her mother worked late into the night and then slept through the day. Anna explored the neighborhood alone, meeting people, some of whom had questionable intentions, and playing with animals. Unfortunately, this freedom led to a tragic incident. On May 5, 1980, 7-year-old Anna woke up in a bad mood and told her mother she wanted to skip school and go to the park to play with her friends. Reluctantly, Marianne agreed, unaware of Anna's true intentions. When Marianne returned home from work that evening, she noticed Anna was still not home. After waiting a few more hours in vain, she went out to search for her daughter. She asked Anna's friends and their parents about her whereabouts, but no one knew anything. It seemed Anna had vanished without a trace. Realizing she could not handle the situation alone, Marianne reported her daughter missing to the police. The next day, a distressed woman came to the police station intending to report her fiancé. She claimed that her partner had confessed to murdering a girl named Anna, who occasionally visited their apartment to play with their cats. According to her, the man, 35-year-old Klaus Grabowski, admitted to the crime after being consumed with guilt. The police confirmed that Klaus had a criminal history. He had previously been convicted of sexual offenses against 2 young girls. During his imprisonment, Klaus underwent a psychological evaluation that revealed his attraction to minors and his inability to control these impulses. Instead of being sent to prison, he was placed in a psychiatric care facility. Years later, Klaus agreed to undergo chemical castration in exchange for early release. However, after his release, he sought hormonal therapy to reverse the effects and restore his testosterone levels, claiming he wanted to start a family. Law enforcement did not oppose this decision, believing him to be rehabilitated. On the day following Anna's murder, Klaus left his home with her body, leaving behind a note for his fiancée, asking her to meet him at a bar that evening to discuss the incident. Using this opportunity, the police apprehended him at the bar. After his arrest, Klaus denied any intention to harm Anna, making disturbing claims that the child had seduced him and blackmailed him for money. Eventually, he admitted to hiding Anna's body in a cardboard box and discarding it near a canal. When the authorities informed Marianne of her daughter's tragic fate, she was devastated. However, the worst was yet to come. During the trial, witnesses accused Marianne of being a negligent mother, stating that Anna was often left unsupervised and vulnerable due to Marianne's late-night work schedule. These comments deeply hurt the grieving mother. Worse still, it appeared that Klaus might evade justice due to his documented psychological issues. Fearing this outcome, Marianne began planning her own form of justice. Marianne realized she would have to take matters into her own hands. Klaus, meanwhile, continued his defense, insisting that Anna had manipulated him, threatening to report him to her mother unless he gave her money. He claimed this behavior drove him to commit the crime to avoid imprisonment. These statements infuriated Marianne, pushing her to a decision she believed was her only option: to purchase a firearm. After acquiring a pistol, she secretly practiced shooting for several months. None of her relatives suspected her intentions. On March 6, 1981, Marianne entered the district court in Lübeck around 10 a.m., a few minutes late. Her face was expressionless, her posture upright, and her hands tucked into the pockets of her light-colored coat. She stood silently a few meters behind Klaus Grabowski, who was testifying before the judge, oblivious to her presence. Marianne had managed to smuggle a Beretta pistol into the courthouse, an act still shrouded in mystery given the security measures in place even by today's standards. As Klaus stood facing the judge, Marianne drew the pistol from her pocket and fired 8 shots at him, 7 of which struck him. Klaus collapsed immediately. The 8th bullet misfired, an incident some interpreted as divine justice, as 7 bullets matched Anna's 7 years of life. Marianne's expression remained unchanged, reflecting her resolve. She made no attempt to flee and offered no resistance when court security apprehended her. When a court official confirmed Klaus's death, a visible sense of relief appeared on Marianne's face, contrasting sharply with her previous demeanor. This was far from the end of her ordeal. Marianne faced trial for the murder of Klaus Grabowski. During the proceedings, she claimed she had been in a dreamlike state, barely aware of her actions. She even mentioned seeing a vision of her daughter passing through the courtroom. Despite these claims, her purchase of the gun and extensive practice with it contradicted her statements. Many believed Marianne had meticulously planned the act. Public opinion was divided. Some saw Marianne as a hero for delivering justice and preventing Klaus from harming others. Others criticized her as a murderer who had no right to take the law into her own hands. In March 1983, after a lengthy deliberation, Marianne Meyer was convicted of manslaughter and illegal possession of an unregistered firearm. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison. During her incarceration, Marianne received an outpouring of support from people worldwide who sent her flowers, letters, and gifts. However, critics argued that vigilante justice should never be condoned. After serving 3 years, Marianne was released early. She sold the rights to her life story for 100,000 Deutsche Marks, which she used to pay off her legal debts. After her release, Marianne married a teacher and moved to Accra, the capital of Ghana, where she lived until 1990. She later divorced her husband and relocated to Sicily, Italy, where she worked in a hospice. Marianne remained in Italy until she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, prompting her to return to Germany. As her illness progressed, Marianne asked a friend to document her final days with a video camera. She passed away from cancer on September 17, 1996, at the age of 46, in a hospital in Lübeck. Her final resting place was next to her daughter's grave, ensuring they could finally be together.